tactics are, then your decision making will be flawed. Okay? Because you don't even realize that you're being controlled by fear, which is what this is all about. All right. So, Ray, what notes do you have on this?
Well, power and fear are kind of joined at the hip. Okay. Power's possession of control, authority, or influence over other people, and that's normally done through fear tactics. That's how they keep control, social control.
Just so you know, you guys, power has been mostly, like what Ray said, it's mostly been directed through the use of fear to get your attention, to get you to move their way. All right. But I will say, but here's my point in bringing this up. When power is used in a positive way, it will never be used through fear tactics.
Right.
Just so you know, we're just so used to seeing it as it seems to be like the normal, where people use fear. Even as little children, your parents say, don't you do that, because if you do that again, I'm going to, whatever it happens to be, all right? So it's a threat, it's a fear, that type of thing. So power, if you are in a position of power, there are other choices besides fear.
Power does not necessarily mean you're corrupt. It's the fear. The people who have power, a lot of people who have power, dictators, for instance.
Dictators.
What are they afraid of? They're afraid of losing their power.
Right, because if they ever did, they would be history. We've seen a lot of that happen, right?
Right. So they use fear as a strategy to keep control of society. What's interesting, though, is a lot of these dictators in history, Stalin, Adolf Hitler, Saddam Hussein, were brutally beaten as children by their parents. And they grew up to be these dictators that would keep total control.
What they did is they carried it on. What they did is they never thought for themselves. Okay, fear can only control you when you forget who you are. And in that throe of fear, when they were being raised as young children by these people who were consistently hitting them with fear tactics to control them or keep them under control, they never thought for themselves. They were never present. Okay, so all they did was they learned from these people who imposed fear tactics on them, and they just kept carrying that out. They never thought for themselves. Again, if you're not present, this is one of the consequences of not being present. When you're not present, you're not who you are. Then fear really can take your life over. That's another reason why it's so important to bring it all back together again. Make the connection to your spirit guides and yourself so that you don't get pulled into that. It's negativity, you guys, all right? And of all weeks, where are we? It's Halloween.
It's scary week.
2 days from now, right?
2 days from now.
2 days. It's going to be Halloween. See this little guy right here?
There you go.
Scary guy. It's all made up, you guys. Most of the fear is just all make-believe. In fact, I want to say this one other thing. It's become fun for people to play in the sandbox of fear. They like those scary movies.
Oh, yeah.
They like Halloween, and they like to be the scariest. Why is that? Because it's based in that same psychology, the same social, what has become the norm, where people are controlled by fear, all right?
Well, fear has everything to do with your emotions. That's why
it does.
That's why scary Halloween movies and
it totally does.
And everybody likes Freddy Krueger.
Right. Well, I don't.
I don't either.
So what are you looking at there? What do we have, Ray?
Well, it said we had 3 people, but I can't see anybody.
You want to refresh that?
I did. Now
okay.
Back down one.
Okay, so
we're just popping in and popping out.
Okay, go ahead, Ray.
Okay, so they use fear. People in power use fear to control and to sway popular opinion. Some of the fears that they use to control others are fear of loss. You know, I don't want to lose my money, or this opportunity, hurry up, buy now.
Right.
It won't be on sale forever.
Fear of loss, right.
Yeah. Or time. You could be afraid of losing your time.
Like time would be like what, Ray?
You're going to run out of time.
To do what?
You're getting old. You can't do that. You better hurry. But if you're going to do that, you know, you're elderly now. You better intend
all
to do
these
that.
fearful reasons why.
Yeah, and then there's fear of lack, never having enough.
That's
of
everybody.
anything.
That's everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody's been maneuvered in that area. If you just turn on your TV and listen to the ads, what Ray just said, you'll be slaughtered with that. All right.
Oh yeah. All you have to do is listen during the news time, 6 o'clock, or the late news into the night.
Drugs,
Drugs.
the pharmaceutical drugs that you need.
Ask your doctor if this is right for you.
Of course, you don't need them. I mean, I'm not saying at all that you need them.
And every night you see some new drug. How could there be all these new diseases?
And how about the lawsuits? All these attorneys.
Yeah, who want to sue the drug companies.
Well, they'll sue everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're just in it. You know, they're going to sue that guy and destroy him so that you can win through fear tactics. You know,
all of those.
What a world, you guys! Look what happened. Just in the last 10 years, it's become super amplified. This thing with fear and letting fear control us. Right? Not. It's imagined. All right. Largely, it's imagined. There are times when something happens and it alerts you, and that fight or flight response hits you, and it's fear that hits you. That serves its purpose. It's letting you know, get out of the way. Be aware, something's going on. A fire just broke out, or there's gunshots going off. That's something to be aware of and take action. To go into full-blown fear, that would actually put you out of commission. You can't think straight, and you can't help anyone, including yourself, at that point. All right.
That's called fear of safety. That was one of the categories.
Was it?
Yeah, fear of safety. You know, that's what drives you to sign up for an expensive security system or an alarm company contract.
Yeah.
That you can't get out of.
And it may or may not work. I mean, be realistic. If you're living, here's an example of this. If you're living in a single-family home in a subdivision of other single-family homes, do you know that you have the highest exposure to a break-in?
Right. Broad daylight.
Oh yeah, you have the highest exposure. But if you're living in an area where it's more dense, let's say an apartment complex, a condo complex, something dense, where people are commingling, and they're walking around, and you've got service people coming, like the post office, the postman, or the service guy, or the whatever. There's too much commotion for it to be a comfortable environment for somebody to break in to your home. All right. So when you're in a single family home in a subdivision of people that you most of the time you don't even know who your neighbors are. Tell me how much that doesn't make sense. You don't need to be fearful. You need to be connected. Okay?
It's amazing how many people live someplace for 5 years and they see their neighbor every day, and the only thing they know about that neighbor is his name is Red.
Or the car he drives, because what he does, he comes home, he drives into the garage, closes the door, and he doesn't come out the rest of or she, or the kids, or whatever. All right? So that's a breeding ground for problems. Okay? So we create the breeding ground for the fear to exist.
Yeah, that was when I lived in Chicago. That's the way it was. You'd see your neighbors pull out of their garage in the wintertime, pull out of their garage, maybe drive by, honk their horn and wave, and then drive back in. But you wouldn't see them till summer. You wouldn't see them till the weather cleared.
Yeah, that's become too common.
Right. Okay, so there's fear of loss, money, opportunity. That's what the insurance companies prey on. Fear of safety, the alarm companies, guns. People buy guns for their safety,
and they're trigger happy.
Right. Okay. Now, a lot of people who are not in their power, all right?
Yeah.
They have this desire to numb the pain with alcohol or drugs. They don't have any power. They're upset that they don't have any power, so they numb the pain.
And even eating.
Yeah, eating. There's another one. But people who are in extreme fear resort to violence. in order to achieve some kind of notoriety or some kind of power. Like they
or make a statement.
Make a statement. They go and they shoot up a college or they shoot up
That's
a,
what it
a
is.
bar.
It's making a statement. Because you know what? They haven't been heard, or they haven't felt like they have been heard, or like they matter.
Right, and they're in extreme fear. Like,
and look at how, I just want to say this again. How does that happen? It happens because we isolate ourselves from everybody. Again, you come home, you don't say, there is no connection in your neighborhood. There is no, nobody talks to anybody. Everybody's working different hours and they're too busy and they don't have time. So we create these scenarios, you guys. We set the stage for these problems to happen.
There was one other category we didn't talk about. It was fear of illness and death. And that's what the drug companies and the insurance companies prey on.
That's the biggest one.
Right.
Yeah. Or getting sick. Maybe that's even worse, because getting sick puts you out of commission, and it also steals your life away,
Gradually.
Yeah, it's really it's very hard. And then it puts you in a position where you have to depend on what other people are telling you as truth. Okay?
Right. People are normal one day, are normal all their life, and then one day they get a pain and they go to the doctor, and the doctor says, oh,
you have this problem, but did you know your blood pressure he checks all this other stuff. He doesn't just, go after that one thing. He has to check the oil. He has to make sure the tires are good, right?
Yeah.
They go after everything, and they go, hypertension and all this kind of stuff.
Do you know that you're pre-diabetic?
This is why people fear going to the doctor. They don't want to step into that whole model, okay? Because that's been going on for a long, long time, all right? And you may not be perfect physically, but you're not too bad,
You're fine. You ask most people, how are you today?
Well, no, but this is not the same thing. This is about you're going to be, there may be a few little things, this and that, but do you want to take a pill for everything that's this and that? Do you really need to do that? Or can you change your diet a little bit? Or can you exercise a little bit? Or there's all kinds of solutions that are natural, normal, regular stuff. Drink more water. Okay, yeah. And you're going to have to use the bathroom more because you drank more water. Well, get over it. That's the way your body is supposed to work. There's nothing wrong with it. You don't go to the doctor and say, well, I seem to have to, go to the bathroom a lot. So can you give me a pill so I don't have to do that? There's a pill for that.
And there's a pill if you don't go enough.
And then all these side effects, okay? There's no reason for that. We create these problems by buying into it, all right?
Buying into the fear.
And we are in the fear because we forgot who we were. That's where it all, when you stop believing in yourself, when you stop trusting what you know, okay, and you panic, they got you. The fear has a hold of you. It's controlling you. You have a choice, okay? And every time this happens, I'm going to go back to the journal. This is my journal writing. What you do is you keep a record of what's going on in your life on a day-to-day basis. Spend that 15 minutes a day to write in there what happened or what you feel it might be, or before you go see the doctor that you haven't had to go to a doctor for so long, for 20 years or something. And you just write in here, when I go to the doctor, if the doctor tells me, build up your reinforcement of who you are. Focus on being who you are as much as you can conjure up. Write it in here. And then when you go to you've got a baseline. Here's your instructions that you just gave to yourself so you don't go down that road of vulnerability and get pulled into the fear that's being sold to you, okay? And then when you come back from the doctor, you go to the next page, and in your next journal entry is what the doctor told you. Do not make decisions out of being hasty. Right? Keep track of what's going on. Write down what it was, about what it felt like, and what you realized, and then what your action's going to be. But don't jump the gun. Take your time to see this on the pages. Then you've got something that you've isolated, something that's standing still, so it's out of the frequency of your emotions, okay? Because it, like Ray said, fear resides in emotional energy.
Right.
Just don't even begin to go there. This will be your lifeline when you start using this. Just 15 minutes a day, you guys. It will keep you out of fear controlling your life. All right?
Especially if you live alone.
Oh,
if you live alone
Oh.
and you're bombarded constantly, you watch TV and you're bombarded constantly by
that's
these ads
bad enough.
based in fear. This is going to happen. That's going to happen. Oh,
When you go to the doctor for a checkup, after what Ray was talking about, where you've been bombarded with that stuff, you're expecting bad news, even if you feel okay.
so why go to the doctor?
Well,
I mean, I feel okay.
you go. Maybe you go. You haven't gone for a while, and you decide it's your 20-year checkup. All right, and you go, and you but you've been bombarded, like Ray says, programmed with all this, these commercials about, this could be happening to you and that. Okay, that you are actually terrified that they may find something when you go. Okay, that's why I said before and after. You write in here what you're going to do and why you're going to do it, and keep it on the pages so you don't have to remember what the reason was why you did that. Why you did that. Then when you get back from the doctor after your checkup and the results are in, whatever, blood test and just normal stuff, write down what the doctor told you. And then you close this thing up. You put it over there and you let it come to you. Okay? You don't let fear run you.
See, the moment the doctor tells you something or gives you a diagnosis, and it hits your emotions hard.
It does.
Think about the day before you went to the doctor.
You were fine.
You didn't feel like that.
Well, you were nervous because you made the appointment, you know?
Yeah, right, exactly. What are they going to find? Oh my gosh, what are they going to find?
I know.
They're going to find all kinds of stuff.
You opened yourself up.
Right, you opened yourself up to get into the system of pills. Pills, procedures, and tests.
I'll tell you what the first thing is to do. Before you even make an appointment with a doctor, all right, you research what's available. Do you want to go and see somebody who's holistic, a DO instead of an MD? That's what I would do. I'd go that route because they understand nutrition. The regular medical doctors, they do not understand not the simplest thing, nutrition.
If you go to the doctor and they say, hey, you have high cholesterol, here's a pill for high cholesterol.
Instead of change your diet.
Instead of stop eating cheese fries.
The DO would tell you, let's look at your diet. That's brilliant, okay?
Yeah.
The body is an amazing machine. If you change a few things, it will balance itself back out again.
Right. The body's natural response is to heal itself.
It is. It wants to be healthy.
Once you stop eating those cheese fries, your cholesterol will go down. And some of these cholesterol drugs are so expensive.
Well, Ray, that's the penalty for not paying attention. This is a lot less money, let me tell you, to keep track of what's going on with you. What do we have there, baby?
We have an observation, and maybe Linda could give her a little bit of insight if this was you, okay? It's from Christine. Hi, Christine. I think this is her first time with us. Glad to have you here with us. Okay, Christine says, I live alone in the country, and if I didn't have to go into work, I could easily just stay there and hide out forever. So she's trying to stop isolating herself and let more people into her world. So how does she do that?
We're going to let her guides talk to her about that. Christine, everybody's different. Everybody's unique. The reason you should do something is different than the reason somebody else should do it. Right? Okay. So we're going to let your guides talk to you about this. Okay. Look at this little guy. Isn't he cute? He's looking around the corner. Look at him. Oh, he's so cute. He's cute. Okay.
All right, Christine.
Okay, Christine.
Christine's isolated out in the country.
And she wants to know how to balance this lifestyle out.
Let people more into her life.
Right. Okay. The right people in.
Right.
Okay. And your spirit guides and angels are here with us now, Christine, and they're going to answer that question. And here they go.
Christine, we come in truth and love. Chances are that new people aren't going to find you out in the country. So, you must make an effort to go where they are. First, make a list of things you like to do. Start with weekend things. Do you like art or music or comedy or a concert? Then write down what you could do next weekend. You can bet that if you like art and go to a museum exhibit, you will find a lot of people who like art also. Same way with music or a concert or a lecture at a college on a topic of current interest. Anything you like to do, you will find people just like you at those events. That's how you meet compatible people.
It's amazing how simple it is. What happens is we get stuck in our own little worlds. We get stuck in a rut. And we forget what's obvious, okay? So if you have anything you want to ask the guides around what they just said, then go ahead and put it in the feed.
Type it in the feed.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if you want to do something like a book group. You can join a book group. There's all kinds of book groups. Maybe you could go to your book group, every other week after.
Or a sewing class, or a knitting class, there's so many things people are little hobbies that they like. All right.
Then you can do that after work instead of just driving home out to the country.
But if you go to the movies, you're not going to talk to anybody. You're not going to meet anybody.
You're just going to find people who like to go to the movies.
Right. So you got to do something where there's some commingling. Okay.
Or like if you go to say a comedy club, if you like comedy and you go to a comedy club, you're sitting pretty close to all the people because they're usually crammed in at a comedy club.
If you like that, being isolated like you have been, that may be a little bit too much. Okay. So whatever you do when you first step out, do something that's easy on you so you don't get fearful.
Yeah, and if you're afraid to do it on your own, find some people that you work with that will go with you.
Right.
You all want to find something that they like to do.
Right. That's right.
Even if it's just having dinner with them once in a while. Get together and talk about things.
To start doing this, since you've been isolated for a while, start easy. Do something like Ray said about dinner. That's real easy to do with maybe somebody who you work with that you like. Okay, then you could share ideas and thoughts about things and stuff. Do something that's easy for you to start.
Yeah.
And then from that, what happens is you go after it this way, and over time, you start moving out this way. All right?
Yeah, she could go on the internet and go to the meetup groups. There's meetup groups for everything you can think of.
Yeah. The only problem with that, Ray, is no one shows up.
Oh.
Have you noticed that?
Oh, I've never been to one.
Well, we looked at them.
Yeah.
On the internet.
It's hard if people don't show up.
2 people show up.
Yeah.
That's like, you don't want to start out like that, you don't want to start going out speed dating.
Speed dating, yeah. Yeah, you could start your own book club with some people that like to read books like you do, and you could all meet one night, and Linda could join your book group just like this, over the internet.
I do it.
Everybody.
That's what I do. Anybody who wants me to join in with them and go, you know, my flagship book, Guided, who have all read Guided or listened to Guided via audiobook. I'm really happy to show up, and Guided talks about how I did it, but it also lets you know how you do it. Okay, it's not just about me, and that's the perfect setting for something like that to happen. To begin with, nice and gentle as you come out. All right.
Yeah, they can ask you questions, and
because what you're going to want to be careful of, Christine, is you're going to want to make sure that the people you let into your world, into your life, come to your home, if you decide to do that, that they are genuine people, okay? You want to be careful about that.
especially if you live out in the country.
By yourself. You have to be really, take that extra, step to make sure that this is really good for you. Go meet with them. Go do what they're doing. Have fun with them. Learn about them first. All right? Take your time.
Yeah, people, the whole thing with meeting new people is you got to show up as who you are. You can't, it's not like going out, it's kind of like going out on a first date. Nobody shows up on the first date as who they really are. They're put their best foot forward. That's what they're always told. Put your best foot forward.
Because they're fearful. There's the fear again.
They're going to be judged for who they really are.
They're not going to be accepted.
They're not going to be accepted.
The biggest fear is not being accepted for who you are.
Right.
Okay, so you ease in by not being who you are, so that the part of you that's hiding out, the real you, is letting this part of you come out almost like an imposter. So you can feel out the situation before you expose yourself. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's okay to do at the beginning if you haven't done this in a while, if you've been isolated. You need some time because your wings are still wet. I talk about that in Guided, about when my wings were still wet. You're not at ease with it. Just walk into it gently. All right, so what else do we have there, Ray?
We have Sarah White join us. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
If you have a question, Sarah, just type it right into the box.
This is about the end of fear, of being controlled by fear.
Right.
All right.
Things you're afraid of in your life.
And this happens to be Halloween week. Where it's all about, fear and scary stuff and, that kind of stuff. And the imaginary fears and all kinds of stuff, all right? So it's a good week to really talk about this or get some answers you're looking for. And your spirit guides will be talking to you, all right, about this. No one knows you better than them.
That's right.
This is your golden opportunity to ask that question.
So I ran into a good quote when I was researching fear and power and emotional fear. People who are pessimists, they always...
Bah humbug.
Yeah, they have a lot of fear of the future. They're pessimistic about the future. Well, they're living in fear. But optimists who lack fear, who have a healthy degree of fear, they're more optimistic about the future. And people say, well, that optimism is sometimes can be delusional. But the quote said, pessimism is always delusional. Being afraid of things that are out of your control in the first place.
Pessimism is almost a sour person.
Yeah.
Okay, they're just, they bah humbug everything. Okay, that's extremely out of whack. All right. But being optimistic, overly optimistic, just means that you don't pay attention to the signs along the way. Optimism is great. I'm an optimist. All right. But along the way, if there's something that comes up, I noticed it. How did I learn to do that? My guided journey. These are the companion journals to Guided, my flagship book. I wrote these books because people wanted to learn how to do what I do, all right? And this is the roadmap to get you there. And what you do is, as you're moving through your life and you're asking yourself these questions, in my journal writing, you use this is a bunch of page for entries about what's going on in your life. Write it down, and then ask yourself how that made you feel, what you just wrote down, and then what you realized from what you wrote down and how it made you feel. so you can have the power to take the action, whatever action that is. But you didn't just jump in without having something intelligent to look at, that where you did the work to examine what's going on before you jump in, okay? You need to see it on the pages. You're not used to doing that. Actually, no one ever taught you to do this. But this will change everything, all right? This will pull you out of these doubts about, should I or shouldn't I? When should I? Maybe I should never do it. Maybe I should, it keeps you from doubting yourself and not trusting yourself. And the better you get at this, the better that you will learn about who you are and know who that is. Because I'm going to go back to this. Fear only happens when you forget who you are, who you really are, who you can depend on, who you know is the real thing. Not something you're making up, something you're pretending to be, something you hope they'll accept. No, it's none of those things. It's who you are. You come in as who you are. You're willing to take on the consequences for whatever reaction people will have about that. Okay? It's okay not to be accepted. It's okay not to be liked for who you are. Because the ones that do like you, now you've got a real friend. Okay? You don't have a superficial friend because you were superficial and hiding. Okay. That's when fear is running your life. Okay, Ray.
You had a post about that recently. It said about compromising. You got to show up as who you are.
Yeah, you have to.
Right. But
this is what will give you the strength to know, to learn who that is, so you can be who that is. Okay. My journal writing on Amazon, $10.99 of brilliance that you're going to find that come through you, out of you, onto these pages. You guys, this is the manual to get you so you can begin to trust yourself and like who you are, okay? The only thing that matters is that you like who you are. If somebody else or other people don't like who you are, that's not your problem. You'll never see them again. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, your post, it was just out in the last few days, it said something like, be careful what you compromise about and what you're willing to tolerate, because you're teaching people
how to treat you.
How to treat you.
Right. Okay, so when you let them do that, you're teaching them to do that by letting them do that, okay?
Who else does it? Stacy Bauer, hello, howdy, Texas.
Say that howdy, Ray.
Howdy.
Ray used to live in Texas. Okay, so anyway, this is about the end of being controlled by fear, all right? And that's just because you're afraid, you don't know who you are, all right? Anytime you feel that fear, that's the part of you that still hasn't come out, the part of you that still hasn't become seasoned in this life. You don't know who you are. Okay, so what I'm going to do, Ray, it's been kind of a quiet night tonight. It's Halloween week, the week of fear.
Week of fear.
That's why we had this tonight, the end of being controlled by fear. So I'm going to move through this. We're not getting very many questions from you guys, and this is really, if you don't get Linda's weekly guided insights, in the description of this video, you'll see the link to get it, so that you can be a little more prepared when you come to see us on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific right here on Facebook. And then you can join in with your questions, because you guys, that's why the guides are here. They're here to help you understand what's hanging you up and get you through it, all right? You can't get out of it. You can't run away from it. You can't go over it, around it, or under it. You have to confront it. You have to go through it. And that's why I'm here. I'm here to help you learn how to move through it. And you know what? Become more than you were when you come out the other side. All right. That's what this life is all about. Next Tuesday, November 5th, Join me right here on my Facebook page, Linda Deir Author. This will be a Q&A and commentary with me and my spirit guides at 6 p.m. Pacific time, so don't miss it. In Linda's Weekly Guided Insights, my spirit guides will be talking about how do you know you are not alone and always being guided? You've heard me say that a lot. You are never alone and always being guided. But how do you know you are? It's easy to say that you are not alone and always being guided. But how do you know if that is true? Is it just a slogan or wishful thinking that someone is here watching over you and protecting you? Who is it that sends you the guidance that helps you in your daily life? When was the last time you realized someone was actually present? Someone you couldn't see, but you felt them there. Maybe you heard their voice. Maybe you caught yourself talking to someone who wasn't physically there. That happens all the time, all right? You'll be doing something, concentrating, and you'll be talking out loud. You're talking to your guides. You're having a conversation with them. You may not hear them communicating back to you yet, but you will, okay? The fact that you are talking out loud when no one else appears to be around is proof that someone is there. Someone you can't see. But you know, when you were a little kid, you may have seen them then. You may have seen them, but forgot you saw them. Or it was so natural for you to talk out loud, and it was just normal. That happens all the time with little kids. That would include you. So join us next Tuesday to find out what this insight is really all about. And bring your questions and be prepared to communicate with your spirit guides. That's why we're here on Tuesdays, okay? Mark your calendars. No, I mean register, because we're getting closer. For next month's live event, Saturday, November 9th, Ray and I will be live on location in Phoenix, Arizona at Storm Wisdom from 1 to 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. This event is about knowing what to do and when to do it with the help of your spirit guides. With Linda Deir, Ray Hawley, along with those who attend on location. It's a free event for those who attend on location with us. And you can also attend this event via live streaming and watch it on demand for 30 days after it's over for just $9.95. So register early because seating is limited. To watch the video trailer and register for this event, click on the link in the description of this video. And now we're going to...
I have a question.
You go ahead, Ray.
Well, she said it's an awesome topic for next week. Since I've been paying attention, I see the connection to my guides more and more. I talk to my dad and my son all the time.
Now, who we talked to?
Christine.
Christine.
Her question was before this. What if it's not just fear, but a little bit of PTSD?
Yeah. You know, yeah. Let's let your guides talk to you about that before we do the closing message tonight from the guides.
Okay.
And this is going to be your guides. Again, your spirit guides and angels are here with us now, Christine.
Tell Christine what the situation is, the difference, okay?
Okay.
Is PTSD just repetitive fear?
In your case.
PTSD begins as a disturbing and very emotional experience. How that experience was processed when it happened makes all the difference. Was it something that you think happened to you, or something that happened for you? Do you see yourself as a victim of that experience? Or do you see that you can be in your power and heal it once and for all? We see that there's spiritual solutions to every situation if you choose to go that way. Once you do go that way, you will never see yourself as a victim again.
Okay. I've got a different book for you, Christine. This is my journal writing. This is the journal writing part of this process. This is a guided journal writing system. Guided is the first part of it. My guided journey is the second. And my journal writing is the third. Okay, let me explain this. If you don't have my book, Guided, you need to get that first. It's available in paperback, Kindle, and audiobook. So get that on Amazon, all right? Once you have consumed that, it's a 9.5-hour audiobook. The audiobook is the most common, it's the most sought after version of the book because I read it myself and I lived it, you know? So the second part of this is called My Guided Journey. This is the companion journal to Guide. All right. And this, in part 2, okay, is where you're going to find out how this happened, where this happened, when this happened, what happened to you when it happened, what was that knee-jerk response that happened to you that you need to then write down what that was and revisit that now from an adult point of view, not the part of you that lived it at the time, not the part of you that was impacted by it and affected by it at the time emotionally. Okay, when you write it in here, you're not writing it from that emotional victim standpoint. You're writing it almost like it happened to someone else. As you observe, remember what happened, and you write down the facts. You write down what happened, not how you emotionally reacted to it, not from a victim standpoint. All right, this is how you do this. And then you take yourself through these questions about how did it make you feel? What did you realize? And now that you realize it, what action you're going to take. It will no longer control you like it used to. You will feel the shackles coming off of you one step at a time. In part 2, there's 18 chapters. And you could start with any one of the chapters, but this is where you're going to want to do some work. You've got to go back to the source of the problem to find it. Part 3 is my journal writing. There's only 20 pages in My Guided Journey of the My Journal Writing part. And then you have to get My Journal Writing to keep it going, all right? But chapter 2 is where you go back into that past and you start to resolve where you got hung up, where you got traumatized, where you got stopped out, okay? You froze in time. It keeps you frozen there, that PTSD. You're stuck in that, okay? Something happened that you couldn't control. It was out of your control. And now you just need to take a look at it for what it is, and not what it took from you, but now what it gives to you, okay? Because you take your power back, you become you. Nobody can ever take you down. It's not possible. I have lived it. If you guys haven't gotten my flagship book Guided about how I did it, you guys, I am real candid. I'm real transparent when I wrote this book and told it like it is. And it's a serious book. So it helps you realize you can do it. Okay, you can do this too. Okay.
All right.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do the closing message for tonight about the end of being controlled by fear. But I want to bring this one thing up before we close it. To be all you came here to be, find a way to support those who have made a difference in your life. Share this video if I have made a difference in yours. Because it's only when people know that we're out there, okay, that we can grow this thing and we can keep helping the people that need it, all right? We appreciate that. All right, so we're going to do the closing message tonight on the end of being controlled by fear, the week of fear, Halloween, all right?
Ooh.
And here they go.
How do you know when fear tactics are being applied? It comes mainly through the news and advertisements. The first thing you do is look for the fear words. What words are they using to
Control you.
To make you uncomfortable?
Right, right.
Identify what it is they want you to do. Look what happens if you buy into the fear words. Watch where the money goes. Who gets the money from it, and who loses money from it?
So keep this one thing in mind. Who benefits?
Yeah.
If they're doing something that makes you feel insecure, makes you feel lack, makes you feel like you're not good enough, makes you feel like you're missing something, like you're not smart, you might be sick. I mean, all this kind of stuff that they're throwing at you. Pay attention to who benefits by it. By those drugs, that drug company benefits from. By the car company benefits. Whatever it happens to be. Okay, and how good of a job can they do to convince you? You know, marketing used to be something where they attempted to convince you that this was a good product and it could possibly help you. It's not like that anymore. They come at you with such convincing fear-based tactics that you walk away from it and you just go, oh my God, I hope that never happens to me. I hope I never need that, because that would be the worst thing that could happen to me. It makes you feel like you don't have control over your life, okay? And when you feel something like that, that's when you're vulnerable. When you feel that, you are vulnerable. Do not make decisions under that spell, okay? Because fear is a spell, you guys, that's been cast on you. And it's overrated. The only way you're going to find it is by writing in the journal and flushing out this stuff as it goes on. By the way, when we are at our live event on November 9th, 2 Saturdays from now, if you decide to join us, via online streaming or physically right here in Phoenix, I'm going to be using this journal to walk you through these things, to really get you to nail it down, so that that one is about knowing what to do and when to do it. And I'm going to show you guys how to flesh this out. Every time you need to know what to do, you are going to know when to do it. You're going to be sure about it. You won't be guessing. I've got a system, I've got a process I'm going to work you through, that whether you're watching it online or you're with us physically right there on location, you're going to walk away with something that you've never had before, okay? And the guides are going to work with each and every one of the people who are with us to, well, if we can handle it. I mean, we've only got 2 hours for this. This is a 2-hour event.
Could be a packed house.
it might be we're getting a lot of signups. So we're gonna work with everyone that we can in a thorough way, so you see how we do this, okay? And then from that, if you want to take and have a personal session with us, in the description of this video, look for Angel Coaching with Linda, and that's where we take it there privately, just with you and me and Ray and the guides, just like this on video, and you get a copy of the video and the audio of the session. How good is that? All right.
Okay.
So we will see you guys next week.
I hope so, Tuesday.
And have a safe and happy Halloween, and make sure that you keep your pets inside.
Yes.
Because they don't like Halloween. Halloween scares,
it does scare them.
Spooks your little animals, your little angels. All right.
Okay, so good night, everybody.
Protect them.
Don't be afraid to show up as who you are. Don't compromise just to fit in.
Right. See you next time.